For the longest time, I've struggled with doing fun things a lot, aka bad habits, excessive use of social media, eating junk food, and never being able to end any of them, even if I knew it was destroying my life. Recently though, I've been able to consistently avoid all these bad habits. In fact, actually hating them, and I realized it has nothing to do with willpower, because there is a way to trick our brains into avoiding bad habits even when we really feel like doing them. So to outsmart our brain, we need to look at how it works, because our behaviors have patterns, and if we pay attention, we'll discover that the discipline to avoid all these bad habits is met with one type of resistance, which is mindlessness. Imagine we removed from you the feeling of pain, then shot you multiple times. You wouldn't feel it, right? Even though that is true, the damage of the bullets is still done. And the same goes for your bad habits. When you spend a lot of time on your phone or eating junk food without ever being mindful about it, that's where the addiction keeps digging in you. As simple as it sounds, you can't quit an extremely rewarding activity that is bad for you unless you actually realize it's bad for you. But how you do that? Well, next time you indulge in this bad habit, instead of doing it without your full presence, do it with curiosity. Yes, you heard me right. Do it, but with the mindset to fully grasp what are your actions like. How do you feel after each interaction? What excites you the most? How do you feel when the activity is done? That mindfulness during the bad habit will force you to really see what happens and what the consequences when we get caught up in our behaviors. Becoming less and less interested on a deep level, a fully understanding one. And that's what makes us naturally let go of our bad habits, not forcing ourselves suddenly to quit it. Also, what's great about this method is that instead of getting rewarded from your habit, you get it from being curious. Have you ever felt curious about something? How did it feel? Good, right? Well, that's the feeling this method also takes advantage of, being curious about our actions and behaviors. With mindfulness, we realize that our cravings are made out of body sensations or feelings and triggers, and that these cravings are temporary. Instead of us facing such a massive craving all at once, we take it action by action to replace the usual sad cycle of see bad habit, do bad habit, feel good, and repeat. Instead, you notice the urge, get curious, feel the joy of letting go, and repeat. And this may sound too simple to help, but a study done in 2011 on a group of smokers revealed that mindfulness is twice as good as standard therapy at helping people quit smoking. Now, with mindfulness as a strong base to beat these bad habits, we need a couple more practices to make sure we are more effective and protected and not let any way for bad habits to creep in. With having an addiction or a bad habit, the number one issue you probably would run into is the thoughts that occupy your brain all the time. Those thoughts make up temptations that later creates cravings, which results in you relapsing. As I said, this has nothing to do with your willpower or something wrong with your brain that's the only thing you can think about. It's more of an identity issue. When you decide, for example, to quit smoking, consciously or unconsciously, your brain is always thinking, I'm gonna quit smoking. And believe it or not, this is the start of the end. That's how you begin those thoughts I talked about that become temptations, then cravings, then relapse. Identifying yourself as an addiction or a bad habit quitter is slowing, if not stopping, your journey to actually quit. Now, I'm pretty sure it's obvious what is this illusion. Stop identifying yourself as that and believe that you're a non-smoker. Because if you ask any non-smoker how many times in a day they think about smoking, their answer would be 0. Using this mindset shift, you remove about 20 to 30% of the thoughts that would creep in during the day. Why just when you're 30? Well, that solves only the mental side of things, which leaves us with the physical side, a very important one. You're not just gonna sit there trying to think like a non-smoker all day, aren't you? What I mean by the physical side of things is what you do with your time, because that will greatly impact whether you're gonna relapse or not. Just like the mental parts where there are thoughts that sway you out of locking in the physical part, there are triggers that do the same. And we're gonna start with the most common one, which is boredom. You should not expect to quit your bad habit with nothing going on in your day. Your brain chases dopamine, so the only thing it can think about is that bad habit that gives it that spike no other daily activity can match. And there probably usually is not because there is nothing to do, because that's what your brain wants you to think like, so you get bored to fall into temptations. Of course there is stuff to do. School and work will take a substantial amount of your time, and that's without including the passions you've been procrastinating out of, the good habits you're trying to build, and the relationships you're trying to form. Having nothing to do could definitely create those cravings we're trying to eliminate, but it's not the only one. A certain location could have the same effects. Always staying in your dark, comfortable room with your phone very much close to you. The temptation to grab it and look at wrong things for someone who is addicted are not far. We all have our comfortable spaces that we spend our time in, and those spaces sometimes could make us more vulnerable to being tempted. I would guess the fix to this is pretty obvious by now. Change your environment often, as much as possible. You do not want to stay in the same environment where you developed your addiction and expect to quit it in the same place. And the same goes for people. If you're used to smoke with your friend and now you decided to quit, but you're still hanging out with them, then you should not expect any results, because you feed off the energy of the people you spend your time with the most. And this is a very toxic one. That's why cutting off this kind of friends for your good shouldn't be a hard decision. You can't just measure the benefit to the harm ratio to make taking these kind of decisions easier. Since we've built this strong structure to control our cravings, we shouldn't be expecting any relapses from now on, right? The reason why a lot of people struggle to quit their addictions and bad habits is not that they're not disciplined enough or their willpower is not strong enough. It's because of their bad relationship with failure. The way they see failure as a dead end when it's just a fake wall you can go right through. Also, the fact that you carry this addiction for months or years, but still, the same you get disappointed when you don't quit it in the first week of trying. We should eliminate these unrealistic expectations about ourselves to stop putting unnecessary obstacles in our way. It's that self-consciousness that creates those unrealistic expectations, making us lose that self-respect and trust we need in ourselves to go through this journey, which is really important but sadly overlooked by people. And the way you build that self-respect is from giving your best to make progress, while believing in your ability to achieve that goal of quitting, regardless of the setbacks you may face at some point. If any tips or methods can help you in your journey to quit a bad habit or an addiction, these that I've just talked about are the most important in my experience. Now, to make this easier for you to apply and remember, and not make all what I said useless, I'm gonna do a little recap, so you might need to grab your notes. Firstly, and most importantly, mindfulness. Change the cycle of see bad habit, do bad habit, feel good, and repeat, to notice the urge, get curious, feel the joy of letting go, and repeat. Second, change your identity to not identifying with the issue at all. Third, identify your triggers and eliminate them. And lastly, embrace your failures and don't let them decide your self-worth. Subscribe if you learned something useful, and catch you later.